All right. Hey, class. My name's Conrad. I want to take a minute to introduce myself. I'm going to be one of your instructors this semester. I've been teaching Writing 101 for a long time. I've been teaching here at Flathead Valley Community College for about 15 years. And I also teach a host of literature classes. In my free time, I like rafting and hunting, spending time in the outdoors. I have three kids, 6, 8, and 10, who keep me quite busy. And I'm really excited about the semester. So I look forward to meeting you all, and you'll get to spend a little bit more time with me during the analysis paper, our second paper of the semester. But you'll hear from me weekly as I'll be giving you small tech updates to hopefully teach you a few technical skills having to deal with document handling and document editing along the way. So with that, I'm going to start. This is the first tech tip for the week or for the first unit. And here we go. So tech tip number 1, we're going to be talking about the difference between collaborative sharing and attachment sharing. And so this is for document handling. And so these are all different methods. And there's not one that's inherently better than the other, but there are some pros and cons. So for those of you who have used Google Docs or Office, in the Microsoft case, Office 365 will follow this collaborative sharing model. For those of you who have used Microsoft Word, which most of us have, Microsoft Word tends to follow this more traditional attachment sharing. So if you're going to share a document, you have to attach it to an email, where over here you can simply share it with a user profile or a username. So I'm going to talk about why we're going to be focusing more on collaborative sharing in this course, and some of the pitfalls of attachment sharing in some cases. It's not to say that attachment sharing is all bad, but there are some downsides. So let's talk about those downsides right now and why a lot of people in various industries are moving away from attachments. This was a story that was shared to me a long time ago by a friend who worked in the business industry. And what ends up happening is you have, let's call this person Tom and this person Sue. They're both sitting at their computers and they're working. And Tom types up a document, and we're going to call that version 1. He then, in this traditional attachment model, he would then email that over to Sue, and Sue would have version 1. And then Sue would edit that document, and she'd have version 2. And then that would come back, email back to Tom, and then Tom would have version 2, and then he would make version 3 and then send it back, and then we'd have version 3. You get the idea here. It just keeps going. But the problem is at the end of the day, how many copies of the exact same document do those two people have? They have 4 different copies. And what a lot of people are finding is that, let's say they need to go and submit the final copy, the final draft that they need to give to their boss or they need to send to a customer. And Tom accidentally sends version 2 just because the file naming conventions are so similar instead of version 4. So as you know, these days we have a slightly different model, and that model is collaborative. And so you have one single document, and you allow Tom to have access to that document. You allow Sue to have access to that document. And then let's say one of the customers is Bob, but Bob also wants to make sure that Betty, who works with Bob, can see the document. Everyone's looking at the exact same document in a collaborative sharing model. And so as changes are made, everyone who has access to that document can see those changes in real time. It allows for a more streamlined process when it comes to document editing. So how do we do it in Writing 101? Let's go ahead and talk about what that's going to look like. So in Unit 1 here, what I did, I'm going to switch to a student view. And in the student view, this should look like similar to yours. This is our real Unit 1, only right down at the bottom, I added a test template. And so when you're moving through the assignments, if you take a look at, in some cases, it'll be for our writing portfolios, and sometimes it'll be for assignment documents. They will be in the form of a Google Doc. And when you click on that Google Doc, it will open up and look something like this. As you can see up here, you'll have very limited options. If you're supposed to fill in the document here and you go to type, it's like, oh, it's not going to let me type. And so some people will want to come over here and request edit to access. We will not grant you access to this particular document because this is a template that everyone needs. And so if you start editing this particular version, it's going to change it for everyone. So in order to have a fillable template here, what you'll need to do is go over to File, click on File, and then click Make a Copy. And then once you make a copy, you can call it, in my case, I'll just call it Sample Template Conrad, and it'll save it right into my Google Drive folder. And then I'll say, okay, and there it goes. And then it'll create a new document. And now this one, I have full editable access to. This is my document. I can do whatever I want with it. And so here I can go up to the topic and say blah, 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 and start filling out the document and have full access to it. So this is going to be the method that you're using for many of the assignments that you encounter, your paper templates and your writing portfolios, primary and foremost. Now, after you are done, what you need to do, I'm going to walk you through the process of turning this in. So at the end of Unit 1, you will need to submit your writing portfolio Unit 1. So you would click on this right here, and you're going to have a couple of options. So you can upload files, and if you upload files, you can look at the files on your computer, or you can sometimes here choose existing. I know sometimes it'll allow you to choose a Google Doc. It looks like, yeah, okay. So then you could go into Google Drive and you could choose that particular document in here in your Google Drive. And so then that would be your sample template, Conrad, right there. And I click add, and there it goes. So then I'd come down here. If I wanted to type a comment to the instructor, I could, but then I could also hit submit. Now, there is another way though, and the other way I'm going to show you. So that way that I just showed you, perfectly great, no problem whatsoever. However, there is a time and place when we should be using PDFs. I'll talk about this in a later video, but the other option that you have is you can come over here to File, and you can go to Download, and download as a PDF document. And then once you download it, it'll download onto your computer. I happen to be on a Chromebook here, but if you're on a Mac, if you're on a PC, it'll simply go to your download folder, wherever you send your downloads. And then when you come back here, you can click Upload. And so over here, I could click Upload, and instead of it uploading as a Google Doc, it would actually upload as a PDF. Now, if you are using Microsoft Word, if you're using Pages, if you're using any of the other document editing tools, you can always save your document as a PDF. Now, why do we want to save as a PDF? Because PDF is like a picture of a document. And so your formatting stays tried and true. It stays exactly the way you want it. We'll talk more about that later, but there's good reasons for PDFs. So here I'd click that. I'd click Open, and then it would move it over here, and then I'd hit Submit. So once you hit Submit, it will do this. It'll show you your submissions, the date and the time, confirmation email sent successfully. So I'll receive a confirmation email that I submitted that document, and you're done. So that's it for tech tip number 1. All right. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.